everybody. Today I am here with a new friend who'd like to introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Laura.
And Laura, do you want to tell anybody about what you do for work?
So I work with people who experience pain, um, and I get to help them, like, live their life in a way that they still feel that they feel is valuable and enjoyable and rich and wide, even though sometimes that comes with an experience of pain. So.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Laura. And Laura and I, we've talked about what some of the signs are. And I think Laura's work is, if it's all right for me to say, is very much tied to the person and personal experience. And so Laura's come up with some signs that she'd like to learn and like to teach you guys that we thought would be relevant to clinical practice. And that's the whole thing about what this is about. Makaton for healthcare professionals. I appreciate it's tricky to pick that apart in a hashtag, but that's what Makaton for HCPs is about. It's relevant Makaton symbols that you can use to engage people within clinical practice. So Laura has already absolutely nailed the first sign, the sign for pain. Can you show us again, Laura? Pain.
Yeah, pain.
Pain. So sometimes people can do it with like a shaky hand. If somebody's deaf, they may use that as well. But most people will understand pain. And then if you were relating that to a specific area of the body, so for example, in a clinical assessment, you'd say, where is your pain? And then the person would show by indicating over the body part where the pain is. So if it's a painful elbow, painful shoulder, and then you can get a little bit more into your assessment from that. So that's pain. What were some of the other ones, Laura? We had ones that were very much related. Do you want to go for them and see if we can remember them?
Yeah, so I think what's important from a pain perspective is like consent. So it's really important to know like yes and no and stop are important for us, I think, as clinical, especially when maybe we don't have maybe we have a harder time communicating between us. Like it's really important that we can get the consent words down. So that was important. So like yes, no, and stop were the ones that we did.
Fabulous, absolutely fabulous. Yeah, and I think that's something that is incredibly important, and consent is a huge challenge when it comes to learning disabilities. What I would say in terms of consent, not to get too bogged down into the assessment process, but checking understanding is of vital importance. So somebody may be signing you yes, I understand, but actually if you need to check what do you understand, and I think that comes onto one of the signs that we wanted to look at was was I understand and believe, I believe, wasn't it? So do we understand?
So like, understand you, so like I understand you, but I guess you could also say like I don't understand, which was like
so don't understand would be two fingers literally going over the back of the head. That'd be I don't understand, and that comes from the phrase, the English phrase of it goes over my head. So it's actually quite, and actually some signs are quite eloquent in their meaning, and I think that's quite a good one. It going over my head, don't understand. And when it relates to things about believing, understanding, knowledge, so we represent, this would be the knowledge and represent it either going into, staying in, or coming out of our head. So to learn something would be to take the knowledge, put it in our head. To understand or know would be tap in the head, I know, I understand. And to forget would be knowledge flying out the head. So again, quite an easy way to sort of go through. If you understand what the sign is referencing, it makes it easier to understand and more intuitive to know what people are signing about. And I think, one of the things that we talked about is listening to the patient experience and listening to the person. And I think, one of the things about saying, you said, but I understand you, but I believe you is another one. So believe, it's like sharp fin down onto the hand, taking information that's in your head, making it concrete. I believe. That one is seared into my memory because we had to do a Christmas panto sign along to I'm a Believer by the Monkeys, and there's a bit in the song where they just go, I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe. So we're just literally going. There's a horrible video on YouTube somewhere, I believe, of us doing it. So that was interesting.
But it is important because when we're we're talking to people who experience pain, one of the key moments in accessing healthcare that feels right for them is when the clinician validates and acknowledges and believes, especially with something like pain that is so difficult to communicate. And I think if you have on top of that maybe communication struggles between people because one person is using sign language and the clinician might not know sign language, to be able to communicate "I believe you" I think is a really important step for us as clinicians. So like, yeah.
It certainly shows that additional level of understanding that you've got there. And I think it's something that, you know, a lot of people may not expect, for want of a better phrase, and may not necessarily realize the inherent value in, you know, when people are talking about their pain experience, whether they've got a learned disability or not, being able to say, "I believe you," because so many people over the last 5 years, as we were just chatting about, have been told that pain's in the head, or have taken the message away from the encounter that pain is in my brain, but therefore you don't think it's real. And for you to be able to say, "I believe you," can be quite a powerful tool. So I think I've just picked up the list, Laura, because we had a bit of a right old list of relevant signs, but I think all are really important, and that's why it's really good to get your take on what signs you think would be important for clinicians to know, because of your personal experience. So we were talking about some of the feelings. So a feeling of sad, which again, very linked to pain. So sad would be down the face, and you'd have quite a sullen face, so it would be sad. So sad. We're looking at scared.
Or down the side.
Down the middle, normally. Down the middle. I've just got a wonky nose.
Oh, right, okay. Probably as a teacher.
Sorry. Yeah, and for those of you watching this, obviously it'll look fine to you, but I can only see half of my face, so it's quite off-putting, and my the colour on my camera is inverted. So the other one we're going to look at, was scared.
Yeah.
So scared would be sort of hands on your chest, up and down, looking at scared. And another one would be angry, and angry relates to sort of that knotty feeling that you get, and you just be so that would be angry. And then I think the final one that we had on our exhaustive list, Laura, was safe. Now, can you remember what safe was?
I love it. I think this sign is so beautiful, because it really shows what you want someone to feel, and especially as a clinician. So it's like, from what I understood, because it was Lucinda's video that you sent me. It was
Lucinda.
I love those videos. So it's like safe, like this, right?
Yeah. So you're taking, again, visualization of a person on your hand, and you would. I can't see if I'm in camera at the moment, so I apologize. Is this coming up? And you're taking the person and bringing them up into you and making them feel safe. So again, it's a beautiful, and as I've said before, some of the signs are so eloquent and intuitive. You just know. You would probably intuitively know, if I signed that it's about either taking something in, loving or caring for something, or feeling safe, and actually that's all part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, and so what I was sort of feeling after learning these signs was, you know, there's you hear when people do social justice work, is they say, like, you know, when we make these changes that are inclusive and representative, it's not only that population that benefits, but we all benefit from it. And when you think about some of those signs, like, and we're thinking from like maybe from an embodied perspective, and then a sort of like actually, you know, saying to someone, you know, you're safe here, even if they're not using sign language, there's something so beautiful and poetic in that movement and that gesture, that actually we would all benefit from having more skills at communication. So it will benefit the population that we want to privilege, we want to increase the privilege of, but at the same time it also adds richness and flavor and diversity to how we communicate with all people, which I think is so necessary, because we have overprivileged the words we use in clinic as being the only way of signaling safety. But actually the actions we have, the gestures we make, the tones we use, the sort of the speed and way we use our sort of like sounds and movements are also important. And I think we would learn greatly from expanding our knowledge in this way.
Can't really think of a better way to sort of wrap this up, Laura, than such an eloquent phrase as that. You know, that's the whole raison d'etre of why I sort of tried to start out as the LD physio, was to try and improve mainstream healthcare practitioners' understanding of the needs and additional needs of physical and communication needs of people who have a learning disability, but not just for the betterment of people who have a learning disability, though that's the primary goal. But I think as we're starting to realize the additional skills that come with that, and I'm saying this till I'm blue in the face, will benefit every single patient you will see, learn disabled or not, for the rest of your career. So Laura, thank you very much for your time. And for everybody, again, we will see you all again very soon. Thank you.
So see you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.